Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a crystal alien. You can make it whatever color you want. I would suggest maybe a fuzzy yarn, but because I need to be able to show y'all what the stitches look like and what you're looking for and everything, I'm going to be using the Amore yarn. But I've used fuzzy yarns in the, let's see if I have the thing over here. If I don't, you'll need stitch markers for sure. Okay, so you'll need stitch markers, you'll need crafter's needle, that kind of thing. You'll need some scissors, and you'll need some 15mm eyes. And I'm going to explain this, okay? So I'm using a 36 peg loom, right, and a 3/8 inch gauge. In order for this to look the way you want it to look, you'll need to get 15mm eyes and eyelids, all right? Now, because it's a standard 36 peg loom, you can make the head the same, but your eyes will be different, and you'll have to associate something. You can take some simple plastic and try to make your own eyelids like this, and buy safety eyes that are bigger. Say get you a 22mm eye, and you can use a different gauge in a 36 peg, but really all you need is a 36 peg loom, and you need a looming hook. The company I tend to get from is Glass Eyes Online. If you can see that. They are a South Carolina company. They ship out really quickly. They're a good company. I bought from them consistently. You can find them on eBay, or you can go to their website. They sell eyelids. These are the eyelids. They are great, okay? And you'll need some paint. I would suggest some fingernail polish if you have it in white or whatever color you're using, and paint over the lid before you add the eye in. And that'll give it the nice effect like you saw in the picture when the video started, okay? As I said, you can do this in whatever color. I'm choosing to do pink. I would suggest using a fuzzy yarn. I know Hobby Lobby has a few different sorts. You want it in a worsted weight, but there's other companies that put out their own version. You can use the velvet yarns. You just want something kind of fuzzy. It'll soften the look some, okay? But I would suggest a 3/8 inch loom with 36 pegs. You can use a universal loom. If you have the universal sock loom, universal hat loom, you can use it, set it up for 36 pegs, okay? You can. It's any 3/8 inch gauge that you can set up to 36 pegs, you can do it with this, okay? And of course you need polyfill, and you need a ear color, which I'm going to be using blue in my inner ear. I'm using pink as my main color. I am going to make another one in a fuzzy yarn that's pink. You can do green, and you can put in a pink inner ear using a regular yarn like the Caron's Simply Soft. That's kind of a basic get started, but again, if you're wanting to make a larger crystal alien, you will need to make your eyelid. And as you can see, this eyelid is, you can get some simple plastic sheets where the plastic is moldable, and you can cut them out. I imagine if you flatten that out, it's a straight line with the curve, and then when you go in and melt and attach it, you just need that hole to be able to send the base of the eye through. So I'm sure you can make a larger eyelid that looks like this, and you can paint it whatever color you want. So consider, if you use a different gauge that's larger, that these may not have the same effect when using the 15mm eyes, okay? Because this creature is the eyes. This is like the main feature is the eyes, okay? So keep that in mind. But the company also does put out eyelids for larger eyes. They just don't look like that. They only have the upper lid. And if you don't mind, you can just use the upper lid. Just make sure you paint it, and that way you can still get a similar effect. But again, the glass eyes online, it's really good company. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with pink, and I'm going to be working circularly. We're going to be going from the chin up to the top of the head, and normally I go from the back of the head to the nose. So that's not how this is being worked this time. We're going from chin to the top of the head, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to do a drawstring cast on circularly for our 36 pegs. All right, and we're only going to drawstring it down as far as we can. And then we're going to be sewing it on, so it doesn't matter if it closes all the way or not, okay? So here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to drawstring cast on. I like to hold it back so that the working yarn comes in front of that first peg. It's front, back, all the way around. Okay. Okay, then you're going to go in and you're going to start tossing over every other stitch that you just created, and then you'll notice you have a stitch on every single peg. This is a drawstring cast on circularly, okay? Alright, now I'm going to show you how to do the head. You can do whatever body you want if you so choose. If you don't like how difficult the body is for this pattern, you can do whatever body you want, alright? The head, I figure, is the most important part for you guys who like the look of this pattern. The row is whatever you want as well, but I figure the head's the most important part for you guys. Okay? Now it says row 1 through 3 to knit. So we do 3 rows of knit where you're just going to go around and you're just going to knit your way over for 3 rows. That's simple, okay? So you're just going to knit around for 3 rows where you just go in and you toss the bottom loop over on every single peg all the way around, and then you're going to do it 2 more times. Okay, so you're going to do that for a total of 3 rows. Then we'll be ready for row 4 where we're going to start the jaw. Okay, we're to row 4, and where it says to do is it says to knit 5, and then you'll see a parenthesis section where it says jaw. That means you're going to do a short row section where you're working between a certain amount of pegs. So you're going to knit 5, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now it says to work the jaw, and it says what you're going to do is you're going to knit 7 and wrap and turn. So here we go, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wrap from behind the next peg and turn. So there's your wrap and turn. Then it says to knit 6, wrap and turn. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wrap and turn. Then it says to knit 5, wrap and turn. Okay. Now we're going to knit 5. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it says wrap and turn. Then it says knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrap and turn. Then it says knit 4. So we're going to knit 4. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it says knit 2 together 2 times. So here's your 2. So knit 2 together 2 times. 1 and 2. Then knit back to your starting point, okay? So you're going to knit all the way back to your starting point. So it'll say knit to end, which means you just knit to your starting point, okay? All right, now that we're back around where it says to knit to end, we're on row 5. And what it says there, it says to knit 5 again. So you're going to go 1. Let me move this up just a smidgen. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then there it says to knit 2 together 2 times. So here's 1, and here's 2. Okay. And then it says knit to the end. Okay. So we're just going to knit to the beginning, the starting point, all the way around. Okay. And that completes row 5. All right. And then what it says for row 6 is to just knit the row. Okay, so go ahead and knit all the way around for finishing row 5, and then you're just going to knit a row for row 6, okay? And when we come back, we'll start on row 7. Okay, so we're on row 7 now. We've knitted around for row 6 after we finished row 5. So it says to knit 2, and then it says we're going to do a lower lid. So you're going to knit 2. Now, when looking at a pattern like this, if you see suddenly B-O-L-B in capital letters show up, you're going to need to make sure you stitch marker. All right, so you stitch marker whatever numbers you start knitting with. Okay, so we're starting with 3. All right, so we're going to be knitting 3 for 4 rows, and then we're going to be bringing the original loops back. Okay, so for the next peg, the 3 pegs, you're going to stitch marker them. So here's 1. You're going to stitch marker those stitches because you're going to bring them back. And this is going to be the easiest way to do that, okay? You don't have to go hunting for them. You just bring them back up. In the past, I've not ever bothered to do this, but it really does simplify things. And doing short row systems really does change the way things work when making stuffed animals. You don't have to work on sewing in a whole bunch of appendages and textures. You can just work it into the fabric itself. And this makes it easier. Short rowing is the way to go. I promise you this. All right, so we've stitch markered off the next 3 stitches. So it says to knit 3 for 4 rows. All right, so you're going to go 1, I'm just going to pull those over. Okay, then you're going to go 2, you're going to go 3, and then 4. So knit 3 stitches for 4 rows. That's what that means. Okay. It has bring original loops back. Now make sure that you're working yarns out from in front of those. You're going to bring the original loops back, which is, you can see, you just pull the stitch markers back onto the pegs. How easy is that, right? I'm trying to make sure they aren't twisted. Okay, so you pull those back. I'm just going to keep those because we've got another lower lid to do, don't we? Alright, but there's going to be a nose in here in between. Alright, then it says knit 2 together 3 times. And what that means is you have 2 stitches here on 3 pegs. So you're going to knit the 2 together. You can toss one and loop over, then the next, but you're knitting 2 together. Alright, 3 times. So there's 2. And here's 3. Now you just created a tiny ridge for underneath the eye as a lower lid. Alright, next it says to purl 3. So you're going to go in and you're going to purl for 3 stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, and here's 3. Now, it says nose, and you have another bring original loops back, and you're working over 2 stitches. So in the next 2 stitches, put a stitch marker in the next 2 pegs. So there's our first one, and here is our second one. How easy is that? All right, we're going to work our nose. And what it says to do is it says to knit 2 for 8 rows. So this is row 1. This is row 2. And this is row 3. And this is row 4. And this is row 5. This is row 6. And row 7. And row 8. All right, then it says bring original loops back. Make sure your working yarn's out of the way. Bring the original loops back. Just easy as pulling your stitch markers back, as you can see. And then it says to knit 2 together 2 times. And this completes your nose. Okay? So knit 2 together 2 times. Then it says to purl 3. So you're going to purl 3 and go 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to do the lower lid again, is what it'll say. And you'll just repeat the exact same thing we did with the other lower lid. You're going to put a stitch marker in the next 3 stitches. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. Okay. Okay, now, and when it said the lower lid, it said to knit 3 for 4 rows. So we know how to do that. So we're going to go, here's row 1. And there's our original stitches. There we go. And here's row 2. And row 3. And row 4. Okay. If you haven't figured out yet, we're working the face area. Alright, then it says to bring the original loops back. Make sure you're working yarns out of the way. Okay, so you're bringing your original loops back. Take your stitch markers off. Knit 2 together 3 times. So, knit 2 stitches together 3 times. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, after that, then it says to knit to end. Okay, so then you're just going to knit your way to the end, or back to your starting point. Okay, so you're going to knit your way back to your starting point. Short rows, they are the key to saving yourself a whole bunch of sewing. I don't like to have a whole bunch of itty-bitty little appendages to sew on. Unless you like sewing, you know, I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but I find doing short rows is the easiest way to do it. All right, now, The next section is rows 8 through 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. Obviously, there are 4 rows. They're going to be just the same. All right? So here's how it works. You are going to knit 2. So here, 1 and 2. Then it says to purl 6. So here we go. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then it says to knit 2. And 1, 2. Then it says to purl 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you're going to just knit your way to the end, okay? So go ahead and just knit your way to the end. You're going to repeat this row 3 more times after this, all right? For a total of 4 rows, this exact thing. Knit 2, purl 6, knit 2, purl 6, and then knit to your starting point again, okay? You're going to do that for 3 more rows, and when we come back, we'll be ready to do our upper lid, okay? You'll need, I believe, 3 more stitch markers in order to do your upper lid, okay? Alrighty. Let's go ahead and repeat what we just did 3 more times, and then we will be ready to move on to row 12. Okay, so the next row is your row 12, and you can see I've already done stitch markers so that I can save myself some time on filming, not having to go through and put a stitch marker on 6 stitches. It's a lot more than 3. So what I've done is I've skipped 2 because I'm going to be knitting 2, and then it says my upper lid is knit 6 8 rows, bring original loops back, knit 2 together 6 times. So I know I need to put 6 stitch markers on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it says to purl 2, which I skipped those 2, and then you're going to do the upper eyelid again, and so you have 6 stitch markers on here. Then it says to knit to the end. Okay, so what this means, upper lid, knit 6 for 8 rows, bring the original loops back, knit 2 together 6 times. Just like the lower lid, all right? But we're creating a more defined upper lid to give more personality. In fact, this is more like not an upper eyelid, it's more like an eyebrow. All right, so what we're doing is we're knitting 6 for 8 rows. So here's row 1. Okay. And here is row 2. And row 3. And row 4. And row 5. And 6. and 7. And 8. So that's knitting 6 pegs for 8 rows. All right. Then it says bring original loops back. All right, push that down. Bring your working yarn in front so it's out of the way. Then pick up your stitches, stitch markers, and put them back onto the pegs that correspond with the original peg that they were on. All right, and there you have it. Then you take the stitch markers off, and then it says to knit 2 together 6 times. And that completes an eyelid. All right. And you're going to repeat the same thing in the next 6 stitches. All right. So, then we brought our original loops back. Then we want to knit 2 together 6 times. So here's 1. And here's 2. And here's 3. And here's 4. And 5. And 6. How easy is that? Then it says to purl 2. So we're going to purl 2. Starting to get that little furrow look in the brow, which is what we're working on. Okay. Now we're going to do basically what it says is our upper lid or upper brow is what it's going to be. Because if you're using these kinds of eyelids, actually this will be your actual upper eyelid. Okay, so we're creating an eyebrow area. Okay, all right. So what you want to do is the same thing you just did. Knit 6 for 8 rows, bring original loops back, knit 2 together 6 times, and then you're going to knit yourself back to the beginning. Okay, I'll get you started, and then I'm going to leave you to it to finish it. So here's your knit 6. Here's row 1. Okay, and here is row 2. All right, just like the first brow or upper lid, however you want to call it, it's the same concept, exact same. You do this for 8 rows. Bring the original loops back. Go back to the previous part of the video to do the exact same thing you did here. All right, so that's row 2, row 3. 8 rows, bring the original loops back, knit 2 together. Then all you're going to do is knit your way back to the starting point. That's it. That completes row 12. Then row 13 and 14 are going to be the same thing, okay? So, go ahead and pause the video and complete row 12. You're repeating the exact same thing you did over here on the first upper lid as you're doing here. All right, exact same thing. You can go back in the video and you can rewatch a section and follow along and do the exact same thing. Then you're just going to knit your way around. It's easy as that to finish up the row. When we come back, we're going to start on row 13 and 14, okay? Okay, so we've completed row 12. We're now on row 13 where it says to knit 5. Okay, so we're going to knit 5. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then it says to purl 1. So we're going to purl 1. So what we want to do next is we want to knit 2 for 3 rows. So here's 1 and 2 and 3. All right. Then it says to knit, let's see, purl 2. So we're going to purl 2. So here's 1 and 2. Then it says knit 2 for 3 rows. So here's 1 and 2 and 3. And then it says to purl 1 and then you're going to knit to your starting point again. Okay, you're going to repeat what we just did for 2 rows. Well, one more row. Okay, because row 13 and 14 are exactly the same. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and repeat this row again, just like we did, one more time, and then we'll be ready for row 15, which is a really easy row. And we are, of course, past the face at this point, so we're doing the forehead area. Okay, so everything's going nice and smooth, I hope. Okay, now if you're wanting to see what it's kind of looking like and everything, you can go in and you can start to drawstring it together. And so you see you have a little increased section here, you have your lower lid here. You'll have your little nose, and you have your upper lid that you just did, or your brow area. Now keep in mind, you're going to be connecting these 2 lids together. You're going to actually sew them together so that it cinches on the side. Okay, so it looks a little funny at first. There is some stitch work that's really going to go in and shape the face even more. Okay, just so you know. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, repeat exactly what we just did one more time, and then we'll come back and do row 15. Okay, we're at row 15, and it's a pretty simple row. You're going to knit 2 and purl 14. So there's knit 2, and then you're going to purl 14. So you're going to count your way over. So okay, and here's 13 and 14. Okay. Next, it says to knit to end or knit to starting point. So we're going to knit our way to our starting point. Okay. Next will be 2 rows exactly the same. So row 16 and 17 is exactly the same. Okay, and what it says to do is to knit 2, 1, 2, purl 1, knit 2, so here's 1, 2, purl 1, let's see, so we have knit 2, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, knit 2, 1, 2, purl 2, 1, 2, knit 2, 1, 2, purl 1, knit 2, and purl 1, and then knit to starting point. Okay, you're going to repeat this row we just did one more time. Okay, so you're going to knit your way to your starting point. Okay, you can kind of pull out and see the face a little bit more. See, there's your little mouth area, there's your little nose, and there's your eyes area, and those are going to cinch together, and then you're going to be adding your big eyes in. Okay. All right, so you're going to repeat this row one more time, and then when we come back, we're basically going to be repeating row 15 And then we are almost done with the head, actually. Okay, so pause the video, repeat what we just did, and then we'll come back and do row 18. Okay, it says to repeat row 15, which was knit 2, purl 14, and knit to end. So you're going to knit 2, and then you're going to purl 14. Okay, and then you're going to knit to end. And then row 19 is just a straight out knit, nothing special. And then we're going to do what I call a prep decrease. And what we're doing is we're halving all our stitches so that we can go in and do a nice drawstring bind off, okay? And what that'll do is give you a smooth top of the head, okay? Which is what we're after. Now when you do a fuzzy yarn, like I did in the starting image, you get a little bit different of a look, okay? Okay, make sure I got that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay, so you're going to knit your way back to your starting point, and then row 19 is to knit, and then we're going to do a prep decrease, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we will be drawstring binding off, but we're not going to drawstring close completely because we got to stuff the head first, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're getting very close to completing our head. Then we will do our ears, which is fun. The head part is the funnest part of this whole pattern. The body's not as much fun because you don't get to see the body for the most part. You get to see the hands and a little bit of the arms, okay? Okay, so at this point, you're just gonna knit your way around, and go ahead and pause the video, knit your way around, and I'll show you how to do a prep decrease, and then we'll do a drawstring bind off, and then I'll show you how to complete the head part of this, okay? Okay, what a prep decrease is what you're gonna do is you're gonna knit pegs 1 and 2. You're gonna take that first stitch over, back to the first peg, okay? Then you're going to toss that bottom loop over, and then you're going to move that stitch to peg 2. Okay, then you're going to knit the next 2 stitches, so 1, 2. Then you're going to take that second stitch, move it back to the first stitch, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over 1. Knit the next 2 stitches. You're going to do this all the way around. And what this is going to do is it means every other peg will have a stitch and every other peg will be empty, which means you'll have just halved all your stitches into 18 stitches, which will be allowed to drawstring down to a nice smooth crown, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, prep decrease, and then I'll show you the rest of the drawstring bind off. Okay, so every other peg is empty, as you can see here, and we're just ready to do a drawstring bind off. All right, and that's simple. You can just toss the loop over and pull your tail through, and I would suggest cutting kind of a long tail because you can use this tail to do some sewing up around the head if you need it. All right, I always like keeping myself some long tails because I like having lots of things attached. I don't like doing a whole lot of extra knots to have to hide and that kind of thing. So personal preference, it's up to you. All right, so toss the bottom loop over and pull through. You want to do this all the way around, but do not drawstring it closed tight, all right? Just don't. You have to stuff it, okay? So just get all your stitches off. Keep it loose, all right? Because you're gonna need to stuff the head, okay? And you're gonna need to add your eyeballs too, okay? All right. Let's go ahead and pause the video, get all your stitches off, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to do a few other things. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like much right yet. Okay, it doesn't look like much, but it will here, okay? Now, I've already gone in and painted my eyelids, and I only paint the outside lid, okay? Only paint the outside lid. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There it is. I don't paint the inside, okay? I only paint the outside. And I've let it dry and everything, and I've got it in there, all right? So what I like to do is, there's an overlay here, which means that's your upper lid. All right, and I like to find the center of this square, this little rectangle section. Find the center of it and push it through, okay? All right. Okay, and then before you put the washer on, you want to make sure both of them are even. So we want to look here, we want to find the center, and we want to push it through. Okay. Okay. Making sure we got it. All right. Then you kind of want to look at it. Does it look right? Does it look about even? Because do keep in mind you're going to be taking these lower lids and connecting the outside. Okay, it's not going to stay like that. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that everything's looking like it should. Pull it out. Alright, looks about right. It looks about right, then you want to go in and add your washer. Okay. Give you a little trouble to put on for extra safety. Okay. Okay, now we've got those attached. Okay. Okay, at this point we want to try closing off the bottom. Okay, it doesn't have to be completely closed because we're going to be sewing it onto a neck. Alright. So, pull it as snug as you can, and then you're going to tie it off. Alright, and I would suggest after you tie it off, you'll want to go ahead and stuff. That's where all the shaping is going to happen, okay? So, in fact, I'm just going to pull it as tight as I can. Alright, and then I'm going to start stuffing. Alright. And it's not going to look like much until you start adding the cinched eyes and adding the shaping to it like needs to happen, okay? Once you start feeling like you've got it stuffed to the point you want, you can go ahead and start pulling it. And if it needs more stuffing, add the stuffing, okay? Just keep adding. Now don't worry if the eyes are bulging out. They're not going to be bulging out when you're done, okay? Alright, just keep stuffing. Doesn't seem like enough, you can keep stuffing it. Okay? Because it can be stuffed pretty firm. It's okay to be stuffed firm. If you E-ribbed, you might not can stuff it as firm. But I prefer knitting. Gives you a nice tight stitch. Alright, now I think we have enough to completely close off the head. Alright. And there you have it. You start to see the facial shape. Okay. Now, what you want to do, if I can get my tail out of the way, is you need to connect this lid. Okay, so I've stuffed. What you need to do is you need to connect the bottom lid and the top lid. So what you want to do is take that needle and try to find the tip. Okay. And this is going to start to close off the bottom. Alright. So you're going to sit there and grab that and bring it down. And then you're going to grab the inside of the eyelid and you're going to pull it down as well. Okay? You're going to pull that down. Now, as you can see, That closes it off and gives it more of a rounded look. Now, what you want to do is you want to go over here to the other side. It's hard to do, but show this. Okay, send it through. Okay, you don't have to pull it tight. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to connect the outer edges, and what this does is closes it off and rounds up the eye area. Okay, and that gives it a cuter look when it rounds off the eye area. All right, then you're going to send it back through, okay, to the bottom again. Okay, now we've managed to close off those corners. Now what we want to do is get those eyes sitting inside the head more, okay? Okay, now we need to cinch those eyes in, so let's get those eyes cinched in. You want to go up as close to the eyeball as possible to make sure that you're able to do this. And you're going to end up cinching on both sides of the eyes. You really want to pull that in. Okay, so you're going to go in and you're going to pull that in. All right. And I like to pull it tight. Because what that's going to do is going to pull that eye in. Okay, and then you're going to go in and you're find the closest spot you can get to the other side. Okay. And then you're going to pull it in. And this eye cinching thing really makes a stuffed animal stand out. Okay, it really does the trick. Okay, so you're going to grab that and you're going to send it through the bottom. After you send it through as close as you can get, and you're going to pull it. Okay. As you can see, this is what happens when you cinch the eye and when you don't cinch the eye. You see a dramatic difference. Okay. All right, so we want to do the same thing on the other side. We want to get as close as we can to the eye. Okay. And then we want to send it down here back to the bottom. Okay. If I'm not staying in screen, I'm sorry. It's very hard to do this in screen. Okay. All right, and then you're going to pull it. You can already see there's a shaping that's going on. It's creating the face. All right, you want to try to do it one more time. As close as you can get to the outside of the eye. All right. And then you're going to send it back in and through the bottom. Okay. All right. And then pull it. Okay. Now, as you can see, that makes a huge difference. All right. To the face. It really has shape and texture. And all you did was do a few items. Okay. And that's it. Okay. You brought them eyes in. You really, what I like to do is really pull on the eyebrows. Okay. To really get those eyes set in as far as possible. All right. So pulling on those eyes. All right. And as you can see, there you go. You have, and you can tilt the eyes. That's the good thing about the washers. You can move them around. All right. Now, you have a face. You have a little mouth area here. Okay. And here's the back of your head. All right. And at this point, you can go ahead and close off the top of your head. I think there's plenty of stuffing. And then I think we'll be ready to add our ears. Okay. So that's it. That's how you put the head together. That's all the facial expressions. That's the eyes, everything. Okay. And if you want it angled more, you can. I'm sure if you fill up to super gluing some eyelashes to it, you can. That'll probably make it even cuter. But at this point, we're ready to start the ears. It's up to you if you want to add a little mouth. But there is your basics on your how to do your head, okay? And then we're going to move on to the ears next, okay? So you're going to start off with your pink to start off with the ears, okay? But that is how you do your head. Okay. It's time to show you how to make the ear. Okay, as you notice, the head looks a little weird until you add the ear. Okay, and the ear isn't too bad. Okay, this is where you're going to need your inner ear color. And when you use funny yarn, when you use furry yarn, it actually blends in better, okay, in this section here. All right, but because I'm trying to show you clearly what it looks like when you work it, rather than using the furry yarn. That's what we're going to do. So ears are made exactly the same. Doesn't matter how you do it, they're made exactly the same. The only thing that's different is how you fold them. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to start off with your main color. Okay, so and you want to actually E-wrap cast on 18 pegs. Okay. Now, what you want to do after you E-wrap cast on 18 pegs is you want to knit your way over. Now, I'm going to start with the peg I last E-wrapped. Okay. So I'm going to knit my way over, and that'll get me started. Okay. And then we're going to be doing a wrap and turn process. And I'm not going to show the whole thing to get you down there. I'll just show you the start of it and then tell you to go forth and continue, okay? All right, now that you have done that, what you want to do is, here's the process. You're going to go in and knit 17 wrap and turn, knit 16 wrap and turn, knit 15 wrap and turn, knit 14 wrap and turn, so forth and so forth, until you can't wrap and turn anymore, okay? And you're creating a triangle, okay? So, for instance, this is the layer you're doing. From here up, this is the layer you're doing with your decreasing, all right? Then when you go to start down and increasing out, this is what you're doing this side, okay? So you're creating a triangle. Alright, so go ahead and you want to knit over 17, wrap and turn. Then you want to knit over 16, wrap and turn. And you want to continue that wrap and turn until you are not able to do any more wraps and turns. Okay, that is the object of what you're doing. Okay. Okay, now we have knitted our 17. We're going to wrap and turn. Okay. And then we're going to knit 16 and wrap and turn. Okay, and the object is to just continue wrapping and turning until you have no more pegs you can wrap and turn. Okay. Okay, so there's my knit 16, wrap and turn. Knit 15, wrap and turn. This is your outside of your ear. Okay. So Now I'm going to knit 15 and wrap and turn, and I'll show you one more wrap and turn, and then I'm going to pause. You'll need to pause the video and finish wrapping and turning as many as you can to where you have no more, and I'll show you the last couple of wraps and turns so you know where you're at, and then we will go from there. So I'm going to wrap and turn. Okay, get over here. Gonna wrap and turn. Alright. So we should have 2 wraps and turns. You're gonna keep doing the wrap and turn. You know, this will be what I think knit 13 wrap, knit 14 wrap and turn, knit 13 wrap and turn, 12 wrap and turn, 13 wrap and turn, so forth and so forth until you're down in the middle and you can't do any more wraps and turns. Okay, so pause the video and get that much done, and when we come back I'll show you what you're kind of looking at. Okay, I'm down to the last few wraps and turns. You can see I have a whole bunch here, a whole bunch here, and I've just knitted 3. I'm going to wrap and turn, knit 2, wrap and turn, knit 1, wrap and turn, and knit 1. That's it. That's as far down as I can get on wrapping and turning. So all but 1 should be wrapped and turned, as you can see. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to start with the peg you finished with. You're going to knit 1, and then you're going to knit 2 together. Okay, then you're going to knit 2, and then knit 2 together. Then you're going to knit 3, knit 2 together. Then you're going to knit 4, knit 2 together. Then you're going to knit 5, knit 2 together, and you're going to want to add your blue in. Okay. So there's knit 5, knit 2 together. Okay. And here's where you're going to add your color. Add it. You're not going to change out the pink. You're going to work with the pink at the same time. Alright. Okay. So at this point you start with the peg you finished with. And you're just going to continue the process of what we're doing. You're going to start with the peg you finished with, and you're going to knit your way over. You're going to knit 6. Knit 2 together. Okay, and you're going to work with the 2 colors together, back and forth, until you have 3 on each side with still wraps and turns on them. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video and continue the process of starting with the peg you finished with, knit over, knit 2 together. Starting the peg you finished with, knit over, knit 2 together, and do that until you have 3 stitches on each side, with a total of 6 stitches with wraps and turns still on, because what we're going to do is start working up where we're going to be switching to all blue. Okay, as you can see, I have 3 wraps and turns here, and 3 wraps and turns here. Now here's where I'm going to start switching up. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be knitting 1 I finished with blue, and the next one with both colors. Okay. Then we're going to go one with blue and one with both colors. Okay. So single blue and then one with both colors. Okay. Single blue and one with both colors. And you can do single blue. Okay. And toss both loops over. And you can do single blue, both colors. Colors. Single blue, both colors. Single blue and both colors. Okay, and then you're going to knit the two together. Okay. At this point, you're dropping the pink. You don't need it at this point. And then you're just going to go knit the two together. Okay. So at this point, you're just going to be using the blue, or your secondary color. It could be pink. It could be any color you want. It's your second color that you're using for the body. So I'm just going to knit my way over, knit the two together, knit my way over, knit the two together. So I'm just going to continue my increasing back out, okay, like I've been doing without the pink, to completely blue. Okay, so I knit the two together. Let's go ahead and pause the video and knit back and forth until you have no more reps and turns, okay? Okay, I finished over here and I'm ready to actually tie off. Okay, and I'll pull that through. Alright, what's next? As you can see, there's the point of your ear. So what's next is you want to lift your cast-on loops, and if you've done a hemmed brim before, this shouldn't be anything strange to you. I'm going to take all my extra ends and I'm going to shove them in the middle, okay? And then I'm going to find my furthest end I can and put it in there. And then I'm just going to go down and put my cast-on loops back on, okay? Yeah, you've got your cast-on loops back. Now, I usually make it simple. I just knit my two stitches together all the way over, and then I knit for 2 rows and then bind off. But you can see that changes the stitch patterning right here. You can see that changes the stitch patterning. And get it to focus. Anyway, there it goes. You can kind of see that it's changing the stitch patterning. So what you can do is, because right now you're working on this side in here, so what you can do is go in and do a purl, and then it'll keep it smooth all the way over. But as you can see, you don't barely notice it. And if you're using a fur yarn, you won't notice it. But if you are real particular, you can go in and you can just purl your way over. Okay, so you can purl 2 together all the way over. Okay, so you can go in and purl the 2 together if you want to keep that uniformity. All right. So go ahead and pause the video and get your row purled, and then it's up to you. You can knit the two together. I'm going to show you what the alternative looks like. So I'm going to purl two together, and then I'm going to purl for 2 rows. Okay, you want to do the other way where you knit 2 together and then you knit 2 rows. So after you get done with this row, go ahead and do 2 rows of either purl or knit. Okay, next thing's next. As you can see, that's what it should look like on the outside. It'll look a little different on the inside, but you're going to be folding it, okay? So next thing's next, we're going to actually just bind off like normal. Okay, so it's a normal bind off. Okay, so knit 1, move back, half bind my bow. Knit 1. So go ahead and bind off. So pause the video, bind off, and cut yourself a long tail so that you can sew the ears on without having to add a knot, okay, and just sew them on. All right, let's go ahead and pause the video, bind off your ear, and then when we come back, we're ready to show you how to fold the ear and how to just change it up where you make 2 of the same thing, and how to fold it in such a way that it changes up whether it's the left ear or right ear. Okay, so this is what your ear should look like. There is the inside, and here is the outside. All right, now how you fold it. One side is going to be more than the other. You're going to fold it up just a little bit, and that's going to be most of the fold on the other, and you're going to overlap it, okay, as you can see here. That gives you, for instance, that puts me at my other ear. Okay, let's say you want it to be this ear. What you do is you flip it over, you fold it up a little bit, you fold it down, okay? And what I like to do is sew it up, sew it down like that, okay? And then I go in and sew it on, okay? And the more you want it to kind of go to the point is where you'll do the less folding, okay? So what you'll do is you'll sew it up depending on which side you want to do. So that's for this side, but I need one for this side. So I'm going to fold it up a little bit and then fold it there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it up, all right? And then what happens is I go in and I like to try to find a column where it is. It can either be this column here or this column, and sew it down that column, okay? I like to find the one closest and sew it down that column, okay? What you want to do is sew it down the column, okay? It's not exact science when sewing the ear on, all right? So what you're going to do is you're going to sew up the ear, so sew it down like it is, and then you're going to find a column and either sew it along that column or that one, okay? And you want to do the same thing on both sides so that they're equal, all right? So go ahead and finish up sewing on your ears, and that concludes completing the head entirely. And then, so what we're going to be starting on next is the body, all right? So go ahead and finish up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to start the body, and you're going to need your pink. Okay, we have finished our head, as you can see, and we are ready to start on the body. So how we want to do that is we want to do a drawstring cast on, and our feet are going to be done right along with our body, okay? So we're going to do a drawstring cast on. So you weave in and out all the way around. Toss every other loop over and bring that down. And once we get our drawstring cast on, done, what we want to do is we want to do 6 rows of knit in the round. Alright, and then we will need to mark off sections for our toes. We're going to create little feet, and we're going to do the legs and feet and body all in one. The arms are the only thing that's going to be done separate. Okay. So, get your drawstring cast on complete. And then you're going to do 6 rows of knit. Alright. So, here we go. Now, what you want to do at this point is you just want to go around and you want to knit for 6 rows. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and knit for 6 rows. We'll come back, show you how to mark your stitches for your toes. Okay, so I finished my 6 rows and now I'm going to be on row 7. And you'll see that I've kind of already pre-stitch markered some stuff, okay? And this pre-stitch marking is where you're going to be doing some toes, okay? So here's how this is going to work. What you want to do is you want to have 4 stitches from your beginning point that have no stitch markers. Then you want to do 6 stitches with stitch markers, and it's actually 3 toes. Okay, so you'll see those are your 3 toes. All right, then you're going to do 7 with no stitch markers and 6 with stitch markers, and then you're going to be able to just go to the end. Okay, so as you'll know, this is the front of your body. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to purl 4. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you're going to take just 2 of these stitch markers. Okay, just 2 of them. You're going to work with just 2. Alright, and you're going to go back and forth for 8 rows. So this is going to be row 1, and then row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, and row 8. Then you are going to move your working yarn to the front, and you're going to bring your original loops back. Okay, so you're just going to pull those back, take them out, and then you're going to knit 2 together. Okay. And you're going to do the same thing in the next slot of 2. So here's row 1, row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, original loops back. Knit 2 together, 2 toes, 1, 2. Then you do the same thing here, okay? Then what you're going to do is purl these in here, okay? Alright, so you're going to do the same thing that we've just done here, right here. Then you're going to purl these in between, and then you're going to do the toe thing in these slots right here. So 3 more toes, and then you're going to purl your way back to the starting point, okay? So that's how you're going to do the toes. You're going to do the exact same thing that we've just did over here in this slot. Purl your way over, which is purl 7, and then you're going to do 3 toes, just like we did here, and then you're going to purl the rest of the way around, okay? So what you want to do is you want to pause the video and get that much done. Okay, I have completed that, and the next section is actually really easy. Okay, I'm going to kind of pull on that and see if I can show you what the little toes look like. Okay, you see that? 3 little toes, 1, 2, 3, and 3 little toes, 1, 2, 3. See? There's your toe area. Now at this point, this is the bottom of the feet. There's your little toes. We're working up, okay? What we want to do now is we want to knit, just knit around for 30 rows, okay? So you want to just go and just knit for 30 rows. And then when we come back, we should be ready to start the shoulder area. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your 30 rows of knit. And when we come back, we will be ready to do the next section, which will create shoulders, and we'll do the neck, okay? Let's go ahead and pause the video, knit for 30 rows, and when we come back, we'll be ready to do the shoulder area. Okay, I've done my 30 rows, as you can see, and there's my little toes. And we'll do a little seaming here to create some legs and really refine that area rather than literally making 2 legs. So I kind of simplified it because you aren't going to see the body for the most part. You can't see the toes. Okay, so we are to the next row, and this is where we're going to be creating a shoulder area. And what it says to do is it says to bind off 9, knit 9, and bind off 8 and knit 9. And basically you're going to knit 8. Okay, so but here you go. Bind off 9. So here's, not doing anything special, knit 2, toss 1 over. Okay. So you're going to bind off where you have 9 empty pegs. All right. Okay. And we're getting our 9th one banded off. Okay. Then it says to knit 9, but in actuality, you're only going to knit 8 because you've already knitted that first one. Okay, so you're going to knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, which leaves you 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. You're going to bind off 9, and then you're going to knit what's left. Okay, so this is your neck here, and this is going to be your neck over here, and you're going to end up sewing them together. All right, so if that makes any sense to you. So you're going to knit your 2. 1, 2. Take one back and toss the bottom loop over. Let's go ahead and you're going to bind off the next 9, okay? And then we're going to be doing some neck rows, okay, to create a neck. And I believe it's going to be 7 rows to do a neck, okay? On each neck section. And then we're going to bind off, okay? I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, I'm to my last one to make 9. And while it says to knit 9, you're actually knitting 8. So then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So you don't have to cut your yarn to do this side, this half of the neck. At this point, you're going to knit 9 for 6 rows. Okay. If you want it to be easier, knit the last stitch, slip the first stitch of each row. Okay. And what that'll do is it'll give you a chain stitch. You can sew up the sides real easy because technically we created this nice clean chain stitch here. So at this point, what you want to do is you just want to go back and forth on these 9 stitches, knitting for 6 rows, okay? And then you're going to bind off like we just did, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to do a slip stitch on the other side and do the same thing, okay? If anything ever comes off, just kind of pull it out and grab that stitch and pull it back on. Okay. Alright, so here's row 1, okay, and 2. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and get your 6 rows done, and go ahead and bind off, and then I'll show you how to get the other side of the neck started, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, and the bind off is just like a normal one, okay, just like we've been doing, nothing special, alright? So go ahead and pause the video, get this side of the neck done, and I'll come back and show you how to get started on the other side. Okay, so I've completed the 1/2 of the neck, as you can see right there. And there's your shoulders, and when you fold it, you'll see. Okay, so we want to get the other half done. All right, so you've already cut your tail and everything. Now what you want to do is you want to do a slip knot. You can find out how to do that anywhere online. All right, and you just want to get it to a point where you can easily toss over. Okay, so slip it onto the stitch and just do exactly what you did on the other side, on this side, where you knit for 6 rows and then bind off, okay? So here's row 1, and here's row 2. And so forth. Okay, so do the exact same thing like you did on the other half, and then we'll be ready to start trying to put our body together, where we cinch this area to create the foot and that kind of thing, and sew up our neck and stuff and that kind of thing, and we can sew the head on so we can do the next section here. So go ahead and pause the video, complete your neck, bind off, and then we'll be ready to finish up the body. Okay, as you can see, here's our body. There's our little neck area, okay? We're now ready to do our closure at the bottom. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to send that through, you want to send that through to start trying to close up the bottom, okay? Now I'm going to try weaving in and out here. And grab that and bring it back. Okay. Then I'm going to come back over here, send that through, and that's weaving. Okay, so I'm going to weave in here. Because what we're wanting to do is is we're going to close this up, but we're also trying to create a footprint kind of area here, okay? Try to get as close to the center as possible, all right? Sometimes that can be a challenge. All right. In and out of the column. Tighten it up, bring it back. Okay, then go ahead and sew those little holes. All right. Shouldn't be difficult, just take a few seams, put them up and close it up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew a leg seam, which will finish up the bottom half of the body, okay? Okay, one more. Alright. And then what I like to do is send that through and up through the other side. Making sure not to connect anything in between, okay? Okay. So you can see I've sewn up that side. Now I'm going to sew up this side. And you see it's not that difficult to go in and sew up, okay? So, I'm going to sew up that other side. And then send it through. And then you're going to take it up to the back center here. Okay. Alright. Now, we have sewn up our bottom, tightened up that area. Now what we want to do is we want to try and get this as center as possible to sew up the leg area. And you're only going to go up to about 1 inch, trying to sew a little center seam in. Okay. So, you want to send it straight through. Okay. And straight through here. And straight. Try to make sure you get in the same column as possible. Okay. I'm not saying this is easy, but it's a lot easier than trying to do separate appendages, okay? Alright, once you get to the top of where you're at, about 1 inch, okay, then you're going to go right back down. Alright, and start going back down again. And when you go to stuff, you should have created a leg area, okay? And it should stand up nicely, alright? Okay, and one more. Send through. Okay. Now, as you'll see, you'll have a little foot area, and then when you go to stuff it, looks like little legs. Okay. So now that you're done, what you can do is you can just send it through. Okay. You don't have to apologize for the noise. You don't have to tie it off. Okay. So you can just send it through. Okay. At this point, I would suggest stuffing most of the body as much as possible. Okay. And then that way, when you go to do the neckline area, you're in good shape. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video and stuff the body as much as possible, and I'll be ready to sew up the shoulders, and I'm going to leave the neck open and stuff it some more, and then we'll be sewing on our head. Okay, so pause the video, stuff as much as you can, then I'll show you how to sew up the rest of it. Okay, so I've stuffed the body as much as possible, and you can see your little legs and your little feet. See? Here's your footprint on the bottom. Okay, now, what we want to do is we want to take our scrap yarn and sew up our shoulder and neck. Okay? So, I've already done that, so what I want to do is, you can see that I want to go in and I want to sew straight down. Okay. The neckline. And when you stuff, trust me, it'll look good. Okay. Now when you get to the shoulder, you might want to try to get the outer section of each chain. That'll make it cleaner, okay? And you want to do this the same on both sides, okay? And then we'll be ready to sew on the head. Once you do this on both sides, you'll actually need to go in and stuff a little bit more before you can go in and see, you gotta stuff a little bit more once I got that sewn. Okay, so then you're just gonna send that needle through and pull it through. All right, and then push that. Okay, you want to do the same thing on the other side. Leave the opening for the neck, okay, because you're going to sew the head on, all right? So pause the video, sew up the other side, stuff a little bit more, and we'll be ready to sew on our head, okay? Okay, as you can see, I've finished sewing and I've stuffed, and there is my little body. You can see the little legs and the feet. And the neck and shoulders shown up, and now you want to sew on the head. And I just like shoving that extra strand stuff in there. And then I'm just going to work on making sure that my nose is front and center. Okay. And you're just going to sew on the head, making sure that everything lines up, that the ears line up with the shoulders and the back lines up with the back center, okay? So go ahead and sew the head on, and then we'll be ready to show you how to make the arms, and we'll be almost done. Okay, I have put together my head, body, and now it's time to work on the arms. Here's one. They're made exactly the same. Your seaming may show up on one side or the other when you go to add it to the end, but for the most part it's going to be covered up by a robe, so it doesn't much matter. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the last part of the body, which isn't bad. Okay, and what you want to do is you're going to draw a string, cast on 16 pegs. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Push those down and work your way back. This is a drawstring cast on flat. Okay, at this point, what you want to do is you want to go and knit back and forth for 3 rows. Okay, so this is going to be row 1. So go ahead and pause the video and now knit for 3 rows, and when we come back, I'm going to show you how to create the little digits, okay? And it's not much different than creating the little toes here. You're going to be using 1 extra peg to create the toe, to create the digits, but it's not bad, okay? So pause the video, get your 3 rows done, and you want to get some stitch markers ready. Okay, so our next section is going to be adding the digits to your arm, okay? And how you want to do that is our working yarn is over here, okay? And it's going to say in the pattern, it's going to say knit 2, and then it's going to say a finger, and you're going to knit 3 for 8 rows. Bring the original loops back and knit 2 together 3 times. I'll show you what that means. Then it's going to say to knit 2 and then do another finger, knit 1 and do another finger and then knit 2. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to count over 2 and then put a stitch marker in the next 3, count over 2, then put a stitch marker in the next 3, count over 1, put a stitch marker in the next 3, and count over 2 is what all that means. Okay, which makes it a little easier to go in and prep for the work. Okay, so what that means is you're going to knit 2, 1, 2, then you're going to knit over these 3 pegs for 8 rows. So here's row 1, and row 2, and row 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Then you're going to bring the original loops back, okay, and this will create a finger. Okay, and you can just take the stitch markers off, and then you can knit the 2 together 3 times. And that is how you do a finger. And it works the same way over the next several stitches. Okay, so you're going to knit 2. Okay, then you're going to do the exact same thing we did just right here with this finger in the next 3. When you finish that, you're going to knit 1, then you're going to do the same thing in the next 3, and then you're going to knit 2. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your 4th row, and then I will tell you what we're going to do next, and it'll be really easy after we complete this row. Okay, so at this point what we want to do is we want to knit back and forth for 8 rows. If you'd like to make it a little easier to sew up and see what you're sewing up, I would suggest you slip the first stitch, knit the last stitch of each row, okay? And what it'll do is it'll give you a nice chain to be able to follow from, okay? And that'll make it easy to show how you want to sew up on the sides, okay? So go ahead and knit for 8 rows, okay? And so pause the video, complete your 8 rows, and then we'll be ready to bind off. And if you feel comfortable, you just are going to do a normal bind off like we've been doing, nothing special, okay? And then we'll be ready to sew. But if not, I'll show you how to do the bind off, okay? So knit the last stitch, slip the first stitch, right? And it'll create a nice chain. let's go ahead and pause the video, complete your 8 rows, and when we come back, we'll be ready to bind off. Okay, you are ready to bind off. Alright, and I'll just go ahead and knit the second one. Toss the bottom loop over. Move back 1. Toss the bottom loop over. And move over 1. Knit the second stitch. Toss the bottom loop over. Move it back 1. Toss the bottom loop over. Move it. Bind off all of the pegs. Right, and then when we come back, we should be ready to sew up the side of the arm. Okay, and when you cut a tail to finish up, cut you a long tail so that you aren't having to tie things off. You can just kind of sew it up. Okay. All right, so pause the video, get your bind off done, and then we will go from there. Okay, so I've just finished. I'm going to pull my drawstring cast on. Okay, and tighten that up pretty good. And what I always like to do is go in and pull on my appendages like this so that they stretch out. You can really see them. Okay. So, what you want to do, went ahead and threaded my tail, and I'm going to sew my way down, okay? And you'll see these chains. See if I can get it to focus. Okay. You'll see these chains. There we go. You'll see these chains. What you want to do is you want to sew the inside part on the way down and the outside of the chain on the way back up. Okay. And what that'll do is it'll allow you to take and use that tail to sew it onto the body. I hate cutting and adding back, okay? That's just something I just don't like to do. It adds more knots. I think it makes things a little less secure. So I'm just going to go in and just grab the inside of those chains and sew it down to the drawstring area. Okay. And you'll find if you've done it like I did it, where you knitted the last stitch and slipped the first stitch, then this should be really easy. Okay. Alright. We're down here at the bottom. Alright, and what I like to do is to knot the two. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a crochet hook and you're going to send that up through there. Okay, I'm trying to see what I do with my crochet hook. Hopefully this one's not too low and I can send it through. Thought I brought my crochet hook over here, but I guess I didn't. Okay, so you're going to stick it through there. Find that and pull it through. You're not going to be able to tighten it down too tight, but that's okay. You're going to close it up in a way. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to you're going to send it through the opposite side of where you're at. So you're here. You're going to send it through. And if you aren't using a really fine point needle, which on my other one I am. Okay, I'm going to pull that. And then you're going to be sewing right back up. Okay, this is where you're going to be following the outside of the chains. Okay. And what this will do is it'll allow you to continue to use this to sew it actually onto the body. Okay, so send it through. And you will have sewn it up. Okay. At this point, you're ready to stuff and sew them onto the body. Okay. And you can make the arms longer if you would like. If you want to have the alien holding something, you can make the arms longer. Okay. But I don't want really long arms. I think the short arms are cuter. Okay. And so you'll see that there's the two that are close, and then there's the one that's farther away. What you want to do is you want to try to make sure that the two that are close are always facing up. Okay. And it doesn't matter. One will have the seam facing you, the other one will have the seam facing away, and it doesn't much matter because you're going to be putting a robe over it. Okay, so I'm going to just put it right on the end here where the shoulder is, and I'm just going to sew it up. Okay, and you're going to do that with both arms. Right, so go ahead and pause the video and sew your arms on, and then we should be ready to start on the robe. Okay, so we should be ready to start on the robe next. Alright, so go ahead, pause the video, sew on your arms, and then we'll be ready to come back and show you how to do the robe and finish up your little crystal alien. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay, as you can see, we have completed the alien itself. Okay, so the crystal alien is completed, but it needs a robe. So what you want to do is you want to find a color that you want in the worsted weight yarn. And what you'll need to do is we're going to be working in E-wrap because the E-wrap is bigger. Right, we're going to still be using our 36 peg loom. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to start off with just a regular E-wrap, and we're going to be working in the round for 10 rows. We're going to be doing a seed stitch. So if you know what I'm talking about, go ahead and pause the video, E-wrap cast on, and do 10 rows of a seed stitch. Okay, so going to go in and just E-wrap around our cast on. And because we're doing an E-wrap purl seed stitch rather than a flat knit, okay, because we're wanting to make this larger. Okay, so what you want to do is E-wrap and then purl one. So E-wrap one, purl one all the way around, and then you'll start with purl one, E-wrap one. So this is going to be row 1. So E-wrap 1, purl 1, E-wrap 1, purl 1. Do this all the way around. This is row 1 of a 2-row set, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and work your way around, and we'll come back and I'll show you what the second row of the 2-row set looks like. Okay, we're now on row 2 of our 2-row set. So what you want to do is you want to purl 1, E-wrap one. And this is your second row. And you're going to repeat the first and second row a total of 5 times, which is 10 rows. So your second row is purl 1, E-wrap 1. Your first row is E-wrap 1, purl 1. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and continue 10 rows of a seed stitch. And then when we come back, we're going to go working around some more, but this time we're going to do just straight out E-wrap for 10 rows. Alright? And then we'll go from there. Alright, so go ahead and purl 1, E-wrap 1 all the way around. Do the 2-row repeat for a total of 10 rows, and then we'll come back and do the next section. Okay, so here is my 10 rows of a seed stitch, and then the next section is to E-wrap for 10 rows, and I'll show you how to do that. And this will be my 10th row. Here, went ahead and did that. Let's pull this up some. Okay, so all you're going to do is just going to go around and E-wrap, okay, for 10 rows. And then you're going to be working half the loom, which is 18 stitches for 10 rows, and then the other half the loom, 18 stitches for 10 rows, okay? And then we're going to bring it all back together to do our collar, and we're going to seed stitch for 10 rows, and then we're going to split it up and knit flat for 10 rows, okay? So everything's based off of a 10 row set. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, get your 10 rows of E-wrap done, and then when we come back, I'll be ready to show you how to do the next section where you'll be knitting flat. Okay, we've done 10 rows of a E-wrap stitch, so you have a nice flat stitching here, and then you have the E-wrap stitch through here. Now we're going to knit over 18 pegs for 10 rows, okay? And I'm going to show you how to go in and create that uniformity that you have going on down here, because we're going to be going from E-wrapping in the round to E-wrapping flat, and you can get a change in the way the twisted stitch looks. So I'm going to show you how to do that where you don't have that adjustment. It stays uniform. If you don't care and you just want to do it, you can just knit flat and not have to worry about it. So I'm going to knit over, E-wrap over 18 pegs. So here's 2, 3, 17, and 18. Okay. And I put a stitch marker there so I can easily keep up with that. Alright. So I want to E-wrap my way back without having any loss in the uniformity that I have going. Because I E-wrapped that last stitch, I'm going to skip it. Now normally you would E-wrap like that, you know, from behind. So what you want to do is you want to E-wrap, okay, so you're going to be E-wrapping, but what you want to do is you want to go in and E-wrap down, okay, because when you E-wrap this way, it goes on the top, but we need it to go underneath. So what you do is you E-wrap and then place it on the stitch. E-wrap, place it on the stitch. E-wrap, place it on the stitch. Okay, so that the working yarn is up underneath rather than on top, and that should save you the uniformity. Now normally I try to go in and I try to do one at a time, but when you're doing something like this, it might be easier to just go ahead and do the full E-wrap all the way across. So if you want to try it this way, you can grab the yarn and twist and put it on like that. Okay, grab, twist, and put it on. If you don't feel comfortable, put your finger there, wrap your finger, and put it on the loom. Once you get a feel for it, you shouldn't have to do that so much. But if you don't care that you have an ill-uniform look to your loom, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about doing that technique. Just E-wrap it like normal. But if you want to keep that uniformity on your way back, that is something that you want to do, okay? But what you want to do at this point is you want to just go in and you want to E-wrap for 18 rows, okay? And again, if you're wanting to keep it from having that loss of uniformity, you're going to do that kind of twisting, okay? You're going to also skip the first stitch and E-wrap the last stitch so that you have a nice chain to sew your sleeve on, because that's what we're doing right now. We're creating an opening for our arm, okay? So at this rate, then you're just going to slip that first stitch and you're just going to E-wrap back, and we've completed 2 rows, and so I'm going to be working on row 3. So go ahead and pause the video and complete your 18 rows, and then I'll show you how to go about doing your rows for the other half, so you can get the back half, okay? We're going to try to do this as much in one shot as possible, all right? And that makes it easier. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and get your 10 rows done over the 18 pegs, all right, half of the loom. When we come back, I'll show you how to go about doing the other half of the loom, okay? And there is row 3. Okay, I've completed my 10 rows. As you can see, a break in there. And if you look at that, you see no variation between this down here and this up here. And it's because I did the twist going back the other direction, what would be in the same direction that we've been going. Okay, I finished over here on my starting point. I want to cut me a tail. I'm going to cut it pretty long so I can use it to sew on my sleeves. Alright, so I'm going to cut it kind of long so I can sew on my sleeves. And what I want to do is I want to do a slip knot, and I want to put it on over here on the 19th peg, okay? And what I want to do is go ahead and E-wrap like I've been doing for 10 rows, and the twist is still the same when you do it this, so if you've gotten used to the twist and the direction that you've been going, it's the same as you've been doing, so you shouldn't have to have any different feel to it. Say if you were to have started on this side and then you would have had to change up. So by going and doing the opposite side, you're actually helping yourself out, okay? So here is row 1. You're going to be going over the 18 pegs for 10 rows, okay? So here's row 1. All right. And now we're going to be ready for row 2, and this is where you do your twisting. Grab, twist, down, grab, twist, down. And you'll find once you get used to it, it's just as fast. You don't even notice it. Just to twist it around. You're trying to get the E-wrap so that it's going in the same direction as the route you're originally going. And this is exactly what that does, okay? So that'll be row 2. So go ahead and pause the video and get your 10 rows done, and then we'll be ready to start on the collar. And when we start on the collar, we'll be going back in the round again. We'll not be knitting flat, and we'll be starting on a seed stitch, just like we did at the beginning, okay? So we'll be starting like we did down here. We'll do 10 rows of seed stitch in the round, and then we're going to find our center point and do 10 rows of seed stitch flat so that it folds down in a V-like manner. Okay, and we'll still have 2 sleeves to make, but this gets it most of the way in. And you should be able to take your little guy and kind of slide him in here and see that it fits fairly nicely. Okay, all right. Go ahead and pause the video and complete your 10 rows, and when we come back we'll be ready to start on the collar. Okay, I have completed my 10 rows, and you'll notice that I've ended up on the opposite side. So what I want to do is just E-wrap my way around, and that will get me where I need to be. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to E-map my way around to my starting point, and that will get me where I need to be, and then I will be ready to do a E-wrap 1, purl 1 all the way around, and then purl 1, E-wrap 1 all the way around, just like I did at the beginning of the part of the robe. Okay? And so I'm going to show you how that's done, and then we're going to put a split in the robe and the neckline. Okay, and because we're adding sleeves, that's how we're going to make everything work out good. Okay, so here we are at the beginning. Okay, and we're going to shove our stitches down, and we're going to take the tail from the previous side. I'm just going to kind of shove it in there and get it out of the way. Okay. Alright. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to start off with our first row of a 2-row set. We're going to E-wrap 1 and purl 1 all the way around. E-wrap 1 and purl 1 all the way around. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video and complete the first round of the 2-row set. We'll come back and I'll show you the second round of the 2-row set. Okay, we're on the second row of a 2-row set, and this is where we're going to purl 1, E-wrap 1 all the way around. So we're doing a seed stitch in the round for 10 rounds. Okay, just like we did at the very beginning. Okay, just like we did down here. All right, we're doing that right up here. Okay, and you're going to do that for 10 rounds. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete 10 rounds of seed stitch at the collar, and then we'll be ready to do the last 10 rows of the main part of the robe, and then we'll be ready to do the sleeve. Okay, I have completed my end around, as you can see. Alright, and what I've done is counted 9 stitches over and put a stitch marker. And what this is going to be is my new starting point where I'm going to go back and forth. And I'm going to be knitting flat rather than in the round so that I have a nice fold over on my collar. Okay, and I'm going to be a total of 10 rows. So because I finished row 10, I know I'm going to be starting with an E-wrap and purl 1, E-wrap 1, and purl 1, and E-wrap 1, and purl 1, and E-wrap 1, and purl 1, Okay. Now, what is going to happen is it's probably going to get thrown off just a little bit. This is your fold area and it's not going to show up that much. Okay. So what we want to do, we're going to slip that first stitch. We're going to E-wrap and purl all the way around. You're going to do an E-wrap and purl all the way around, and you're going to stop right here. Okay. You're not going to E-wrap, you're not going to move to there, you're going to stop just before that, alright? So, you're going to E-wrap and purl all the way around, alright? So go ahead and pause the video and E-wrap and purl all the way around to just before your stitch marker, okay? And then I will show you how to do row 2, and you're going to just repeat this over and over, and for 10 rows, okay? Just go ahead and pause the video, get all the way around, and then I will show you what the next row is, okay? So continue your E-wrap and 1 purl 1. Okay, because we're knitting this flat, it generally works the same as a start off every time you do a seed stitch. We finished with an E-wrap, so we're going to slip that first stitch, and as you can see, there's already a break between the two starting. Okay, so we finished with an E-wrap, so we're going to start with an E-wrap and purl 1. Slip that first stitch, and you're going to E-wrap 1, purl 1 all the way around, and you're going to do this for 10 rows, okay? And remember, you're knitting flat. This is your new starting point and ending point is right over here, okay, which is front and center. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and get your 10 rows of seed stitch done, and I am doing my second row right now. Right, so you want to do your 10 rows, and then you're going to bind off. You're not going to do anything special, you're just going to bind off. Okay, so we're actually almost done with the base of our robe, and then what we'll be wanting to do next is do our sleeve area. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your 10 rows, and if you feel comfortable, go ahead and bind off. If not, I can show you how to do that. Alright, and we will go from there. Okay, so as you can see, I've completed 10 rows there, and we're ready to bind off. Okay, so I'm just going to knit the next stitch, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over 1. Knit the next stitch, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over 1. Knit the next stitch, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over 1. You're just going to do this same thing all the way around until you have no more you can bind off, okay? Let's go ahead and bind off your collar, and then we should be ready to start our sleeve area, and so we're getting very close to done. Okay, I have bind off. I cut a short tail because I'm going to have to weave it in, but this is what you should have had. Is there's the holes for your arms, there's the bottom, and here is your collar, and you're just going to fold that down like that. Okay, And you can actually try this on your little alien and see how it's doing. Okay. So as you can see, we've tried it on our little alien. We see that it's fitting. Okay. And now all that's left to do is to do our sleeve. Okay. So you can kind of see how that looks on your little alien. Right. Next we want to add our sleeves, and I'll show you how to do that. You want to weave in your ends, and then we're almost done. We're almost there. If you like this, you can leave it as it is, but I think the sleeves help with the overall look. Okay. Okay, so we're to making a sleeve. Okay, and it's going to be mostly seed stitch, and it's only going to be 10 rows. Okay, so what you want to do is get your yarn, get your loom, and you're going to cast on 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then we're going to be doing a seed stitch. Okay. So the sleeve is made the same way, and because you're doing a stitch that looks the same on either side, you're just going to make 2 of these, alright? So what you're going to do is you're going to knit and purl. Right? You're basically going to E-wrap and purl. So E-wrap and purl. This is your first row. E-wrap and purl. And if you want it to be easy to figure out what you're doing on sewing up, I would suggest you E-wrap that last stitch to create a chain. Okay. Then, you're going to slip that first stitch and you're going to purl the first peg. Okay. So purl and E-wrap. This is your second row. And you're going to repeat this over and over, where you're going to E-wrap those last 2 stitches, and then you're going to start where you slip the first stitch, and you start with a purl E-wrap. Okay, and you're going to do this for a total of 10 rows. It's a seed stitch, just like we've been doing on the collar, on the bottom of the robe. You're just going to do this for 10 rows, okay? And once you complete the 10 rows, you can bind off. If you're used to what we've already been doing, you can bind off, and then we will be ready to sew up. Alright, so we're not doing any special bind off, just what we've been doing, just like you did for the collar. Okay, so go ahead, complete your 10 rows, make 2 of these, bind off just like we did with the collar. Alright, just like it, nothing different. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video, complete your sleeve, bind off, and then I'll be ready to show you how to sew it onto your robe. Okay? Okay, I have finished my sleeve, and this is what it should look like. There's your cast on, there's your bind off. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to fold in half, and the bind off is actually going to be where your hand is. Okay, and you want your seaming to be on the bottom. Okay, so you want the seam to be on the bottom no matter what. Seam, just flip it over. Okay, I cut me an extra long tail on my bind off. As you you can see, and I've already threaded my needle. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and sew up the side. Okay, and by cutting that extra long, you aren't going to have a tail to weave in. You're not going to have a knot here. It's going to be very smooth. And also the other reason for having cut a long tail, you can go in and sew everything up right around and everything and have a lot less knotting and a lot less to weave in. So I'm all about less weaving because I hate to weave personally. Okay. Okay, so I have sewn that up and I am actually ready to sew onto the actual, I'll flip it inside out and I'm going to send it through here. Okay, and the seam's going to be on the bottom, and at this point I'm just going to be sewing the sleeve on, and be kind of following chain to chain. Okay, or chain to cast on. Alright, there's a chain, find your cast on and send it through. Alright, so that's how you kind of want to do this. Alright, all the way around. Okay, and then you're going to tie it off and weave all your ends in. Okay, and then you are done. You'll have made the crystal alien pattern. Okay. So, and as you sew, tighten and then pull. And what that does is it keeps it loose so that you can put the arm in the sleeve easily enough. Okay. Okay. And pull and pull, and we'll send it through, and we'll knot off. Yeah. Okay. Pull that through, shove the end through. There's your nice sleeve. And all I'm going to do is knot off my cast on tail to my sewing tail. And I'm going to cut my ends. Okay. So at this point, this is what your robe looks like. Okay. And all we're going to do now is we're going to put them on there. And we have made our crystal alien. Done. That is what it should look like when you're done.